What if luck wasn't random, but something you could actually prepare for Sunday? April 27th, 2025 isn't just another date on the calendar. It's a day where cosmic energy and Buddhist wisdom align, offering you a powerful chance to refocus your life. Not just to attract money, but to embody clarity, peace, and purpose. Most people chase wealth through hustle. But here's the truth: without inner alignment, outer success feels empty or never arrives at all. Today we'll explore 6 specific numbers that carry deep symbolic energy, not for gambling, but for guiding your thoughts, setting intentions, and syncing with the natural flow of abundance. This isn't superstition, it's strategy, spiritual, grounded, timeless, ready to realign. To kick off this journey, give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss wisdom like this. And comment below. I welcome growth and harmony into my life. That one small act sets a clear intention, and that's where true wealth begins. Let's start with the first number, 7. The Seeker. Part 1. Number 7. The Seeker. There's a kind of wealth that doesn't show up in bank accounts, but shows up in peace of mind, sharp intuition, and the quiet confidence of knowing who you really are. That's the kind of abundance the number 7 brings. In both Buddhist thought and numerology, 7 is the number of the inner path. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't chase trophies. Instead, it invites you to go deeper beneath the surface of your goals, into the soul of your intentions. It is in many ways the seeker's number, the one that reminds us we're not here just to survive or accumulate, but to understand, to awaken, to come home to ourselves. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The Buddha number 7 aligns astrologically with Neptune, the planet of intuition, dreams, and the mystical. When Neptune's energy is strong, we're not called to do more. We're called to feel more sense, more trust, more. On Sunday, April 27th, if you feel a little more sensitive than usual or introspective, don't resist it. That's the vibration of 7 speaking to you. Instead of rushing to fix your external life, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really seeking? Why do I want more money, more success? And then ask, who am I becoming in the process? That's the key shift. 7 offers, because maybe wealth isn't something to chase. It's something you attract when you're finally aligned with your truth. Here's a story I'll never forget. An elderly woman I once met, let's call her Marie, told me she never felt rich until the day she sat alone in her garden and realized she didn't want to be anyone else. She wasn't famous. She didn't have much in savings, but she had something rare, a stillness inside, a quiet joy. She had made peace with herself, and in that moment she was wealthier than most millionaires I know. That's the spirit of 7. So how can you honor this number? Take 15 minutes on April 27th for silent reflection. No phone, no distractions, just you, your breath, and the question, what truth am I avoiding? Journal, not to analyze, but to listen to your own voice. Practice mindful walking or meditation under the early morning sky. Let your steps be prayers. 7 is not about outcomes. It's about alignment. It's not about success you can flaunt. It's about the kind of success that lets you sleep well at night. So as we step deeper into this journey of sacred numbers and abundance, let 7 be your spiritual compass. Let it remind you that clarity is currency, that the quieter your mind becomes, the louder your intuition speaks, and that the real treasure you've been seeking, it might have been inside you all along. Next, we explore number 11, a number that doesn't just whisper truth. It shines a light on your highest calling. Part 2, number 11, the Master Teacher. There are moments in life that feel like lightning, sudden flashes of clarity, awakening, or breakthrough. That's the spirit of number 11, the master teacher. In numerology, 11 isn't just another number. It's what's known as a master number, a symbol of higher intuition, spiritual insight, and inner illumination. It doesn't just ask you to look deeper, it demands it. Number 11 stands at the edge between the material world and the spiritual realm, acting as a bridge. It reminds us that we're not just flesh and routine. We're spirit, too capable of tapping into something far greater than logic, something timeless and electric. Astrologically, 11 aligns with Uranus, the planet of breakthroughs, innovation, and revolution. Uranus energy shakes us awake. It doesn't whisper, it roars. It's the voice that says, you were made for more than this. On Sunday, the April 27th, tuning into the vibration of 11 can feel like stepping into a higher frequency, where your intuition sharpens and your heart speaks with unexpected clarity. Think of 11 as a spiritual mirror, not reflecting what you look like, but who you truly are becoming. Here's the thing, most people ignore these signals. They wait for permission, they look for proof before taking the leap. But intuition doesn't shout, it nudges. And 11 teaches us to trust those nudges before the world validates them. Let me share a story. A man I once coached, let's call him David, worked for over 15 years in finance. He was successful by every outer measure, good income, steady promotions. But deep down, something felt off. One night, he dreamed he was standing on a tightrope between two mountains. When he told me, I smiled and said, that's 11 talking. It was time to leap to trust the pull in his gut. 6 months later, he left corporate life and started mentoring young adults in financial literacy. I've never made less money, he told me laughing, but I've never felt more wealthy. That's 11. That's Uranus. That's freedom. So how do you honor number 11 on April 27th? Write down one truth you've been avoiding. Say it out loud. Spend 11 minutes in silence, not asking for answers, but listening for insight. Visualize your higher self, the version of you that's courageous, wise, and aligned. What would they do today? Number 11 isn't always comfortable. It's not a soft number. It's a wake-up call. It breaks patterns, ends chapters, and opens portals. But if you're willing to listen, it can become your greatest guide. Because when your intuition leads, your life transforms, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Next, we move from vision to foundation as we explore. Number 4, the number that grounds your dreams into real lasting success. Part 3, number 4, the builder. In a world obsessed with speed, it's easy to forget the quiet power of patience. We scroll, we chase, we want results fast. But number 4 teaches a different rhythm, a steadier one that builds brick by brick. In numerology, 4 is known as the builder, the symbol of structure, discipline, and long-term stability. It doesn't sparkle, it doesn't shout, but it lasts. In Buddhist teachings, this energy is beautifully captured in a single line from the Dhammapada. As a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame. That is the essence of 4. It calls us to be grounded, not just in our actions, but in our values. In a chaotic, uncertain world, 4 is your spiritual anchor. It asks you, what are you building? And are you building it on truth or on trends, astrologically? 4 connects with Saturn, the planet of time, karma, and responsibility. Saturn doesn't promise ease, it promises mastery. It's the energy that rewards you not for how fast you go, but for how well you endure. On Sunday, April 27th, aligning with the frequency of 4 means choosing substance over speed. It's about doing the right thing the long way, because shortcuts rarely lead to real peace. Let me tell you a story that brings this to life. There was an old man named Henry in my neighborhood who spent 12 years building a small wooden cabin by hand. No machines, no crew, just quiet work. Season after season, people thought he was wasting time. But when a storm came and wiped out 3 prefab houses nearby, Henry's cabin stood strong. When asked how he did it, he smiled and said, "I just didn't rush." That's 4. So how do you bring this energy into your life? On April 27th, do one small task slowly, with full attention. Whether it's cooking, cleaning, or writing, make it a meditation. Reflect on the pillars of your life: relationships, career, health, spirituality. Which ones need reinforcement? Make a promise to your future self and start keeping it, one habit at a time. 4. Reminds us that the tallest tree grows from the deepest root. That success without structure is fragile. That if you're not grounded, you'll be swayed by every gust of fear, flattery, or failure. And most importantly, 4 tells us this: real wealth is not in what you can show, but in what can't be shaken. As you move forward, let number 4 be your guide in building a life that's not just impressive, but unshakable. Next, we turn toward creativity, joy, and self-expression with number 3, part 4. Number 3, the creative communicator. There's a certain kind of magic that happens when joy meets expression. That's the essence of number 3, the number of creativity, communication, and connection. In Numerology, 3 is the artist, the storyteller, the soul that turns thoughts into words and emotions into art. It invites us to stop hiding and start sharing, not to impress, but to connect. It's no coincidence that in Buddhist teachings, the power of thought is everything. What you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create. The Buddha. These aren't just poetic lines, they're a blueprint for manifestation. And number 3 sits right at the heart of it, the bridge between your inner world and outer expression. Astrologically, 3 aligns with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, optimism, and higher learning. Jupiter doesn't shrink. It amplifies. Whatever you focus on with intention and clarity, it grows. That means, on Sunday, April 27th, if you want to align with abundance, it starts with expression. Speak truth. Create with joy. Imagine bigger. Let me share a story that captures this beautifully. A woman I met at a retreat, we'll call her Lisa, spent years in silence. Not literal silence, but emotional. She never believed her words mattered. One day she wrote a single blog post about grief and healing. Raw, honest, vulnerable. She almost didn't post it, but something in her said, just share. That post was read by over 100,000 people in a week. She didn't just write, she healed out loud, and in doing so gave others permission to do the same. That's number 3, at work. It's not about being an artist. It's about being authentically you and trusting that your voice carries power. Here's how you can honor this number on April 27th. Write something honest, a journal entry, a letter, a poem. Don't filter it, just let it flow. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Say what needs to be said to someone close to you, with kindness, but without hiding. Create joyfully, dance, paint, cook, sing, build something with your hands. Let yourself play. In a world so often weighed down by fear and seriousness, joy is a revolutionary act, and 3 reminds us the energy we express is the energy we attract. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present and brave enough to share what's real. Because when mind, body, and spirit come into harmony, which many spiritual traditions say is the true trinity, you become magnetic. So ask yourself, what part of me have I silenced? What truth, story, or gift is waiting to be released? Let number 3 guide you to release it, not for likes, not for validation, but for the joy of being fully, unapologetically alive. Up next, we explore the wisdom of cycles balance and maturity with number 26, the Harmonizer of Cycles. Part 5, number 26, the Harmonizer of Cycles. Some numbers arrive like lightning, bold, direct, unmistakable. But number 26 is different. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And what it whispers is wisdom, the kind that only comes from living through a few seasons, a few storms, and learning to balance what you want with who you're becoming. In numerology, 26 is a blend of 2, harmony, intuition, and 6, responsibility, compassion. Together, they form a vibration of mature integration, a number that doesn't just pursue growth, but seeks to grow gracefully. On Sunday, April 27th, this energy invites you to pause and reflect, not just on where you're going, but on where you've been. What lessons have you been resisting? What cycles keep repeating because you haven't fully faced them? Number 26 reminds us life moves in cycles. There are times of expansion and times of retreat, times to build and times to rest. And true wisdom, as the Buddha taught, comes from acceptance, not resistance. Just as a flower does not pick and choose the bees that come to it, the wise person welcomes all experiences, sweet or bitter, as opportunities to grow. This is the spirit of 26. It's the number that says, you are not your past, but your past can guide your future if you let it. Astrologically, 26 resonates with Saturn's long-term vision and Venus's nurturing energy. It asks us to balance material ambition with emotional clarity. Not either or, but both in. Here's a story that speaks to this. At a retreat. I once attended a retired nurse named Gloria, shared how she spent most of her life chasing financial stability, long shifts, double jobs, sleepless years. She finally retired early, only to realize she had no idea what made her feel alive. She said, I built a life, but I forgot to build myself. Now she teaches breathwork to women over 60. She earns less, but she radiates more. That's the shift. 26 invites. So how can you align with this number? Reflect on the major life cycles you've lived through. Childhood, career, love loss. What themes repeat? Ask yourself, where in my life am I forcing what wants to flow? Start your day on April 27th with a grounding practice like tea in silence or writing 3 things you've accepted about yourself. 26 isn't about radical change. It's about quiet integration. It's about learning to dance with life's seasons, not control them. Because here's the truth, you can't transform what you won't first accept. Number 26 helps us walk lighter by helping us make peace with what was, so we can fully show up for what's next. Coming up, we'll explore a bonus number that blends creativity and adaptability into a powerful force for transformation. Number 35, the Dynamic Harmonizer. Part 6, number 35, the Dynamic Harmonizer, bonus. In life, some lessons arrive as stillness, others arrive as movement. Number 35 brings both. This is a number born from the union of 3, creativity, communication, and 5, freedom, adaptability. Together, they create a dynamic energy that invites you to transform without force, to grow, while staying true to yourself. In numerology, 35 is the symbol of fluid transformation. It doesn't cling to rigid plans, but also doesn't drift aimlessly. It flows with intention. Imagine a river that carves stone over time, not with brute strength, but with consistency, rhythm, and flexibility. That's the spirit of 35. On Sunday, April 27th, this number arrives as a bonus gift, a gentle nudge to ask, are you growing with grace, or just grinding without direction? Are you allowing change to stretch you, or are you resisting the current because it feels unfamiliar? In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of Trung Jiao, the middle way, is central. It's the path between extremes, Not denial, not indulgence, not chaos, not control, just presence, just flow. As the Buddha taught, the middle path leads to insight, peace, and liberation. Number 35 embodies this very path. It reminds us that transformation doesn't have to be dramatic to be real, that sometimes the most meaningful shifts are subtle, like a new habit, a fresh perspective, a softer way of speaking to ourselves. Here's a personal story that illustrates this. A close friend of mine, Maya, once struggled between two versions of herself: the ambitious corporate woman climbing the ladder and the artist who wanted to teach painting in schools. For years she felt torn, until one day she stopped choosing. She blended both. She launched creativity workshops for stressed professionals. It was neither corporate, Maya, nor artist, Maya. It was integrated Maya. That's 35 in action, creative adaptability with a rooted soul. So how can you work with this number on April 27th? Give yourself permission to evolve. Write down one area of life where you've been too rigid and ask, what would flow look like here? Try something new, but gently. Don't force a change. Invite it. A new food, a new route to work, a different way to start your day. Balance structure and spontaneity. Make a small plan, but leave space for play. The beauty of 35 is in its ability to flex without breaking, to express without overexposing, to move forward without burning out. And perhaps most importantly, 35 reminds us that you don't need to reinvent everything to transform something. Even a small shift when done consistently can realign your whole life. So as you move through April 27th, let 35 be your inner compass. Don't rush, don't resist, just adjust and trust. Coming up, we move beyond numbers and into practice with 6 Buddhist-aligned principles for creating real wealth from the inside out. Part 7, 6 inner practices for true abundance. We often think wealth begins with hustle, but in Buddhist philosophy, wealth begins in the mind. Before any external success can manifest, there must be internal clarity, alignment, and intention. These 6 timeless principles rooted in Dharma and mindfulness serve as your inner foundation for lasting prosperity. 1. Right intention, the seed of abundance. Every result begins with an intention, but not all intentions lead to peace. When our desire for wealth stems from fear, scarcity, or ego, we often find ourselves restless, unsatisfied no matter how much we gain. True wealth begins when we ask, why do I want to be rich? What would I do with more? Setting clear, compassionate intentions each morning, even just whispering, may the abundance I receive today help me live with dignity and uplift others, aligns our energy with higher purpose. 2. Generosity, dana, the wealth of letting go. In Buddhism, generosity isn't just an action, it's a way of being. When we give, we affirm to the universe, I have enough. That simple truth unlocks flow. There's a story of a business owner who quietly gave 10% of his earnings to support local education. Within months, his business grew exponentially, not by luck, but by trust and goodwill. Giving opens doors. Logic cannot start with what you have. Time, attention, kindness. The ripple effect is always greater than we expect. 3. Meditation, clearing the inner noise. Have you ever noticed how loud the mind gets around money, worry, comparison, doubt, fear? Meditation helps us clear that mental fog and tune into the deeper wisdom within. Just 5 to 10 minutes of mindful breathing each day can ground you in clarity. As you inhale, feel abundance. As you exhale, release lack. When the mind is calm, we see opportunities we once overlooked and respond with precision instead of panic. Mindful spending, money as a mirror. Every dollar we spend reflects our beliefs. Are we buying out of habit, insecurity, or true need? Before every purchase, pause and ask, does this reflect who I want to become? Mindful spending isn't about restriction, it's about intention. When your money choices align with your values, regret fades, and empowerment grows. 5. Noble influence, the company you keep. Who we surround ourselves with shapes our financial reality. Spend time with people who view money as a tool for growth, not just a status symbol. Write down 5 names, real or virtual, who inspire confidence, wisdom, and generosity around wealth. Let their mindset rub off on you. Remember the Buddha's words, good friends are the whole of the spiritual life. 6. Focused mantras and affirmations. Rewiring the mind. Words carry power. In Buddhist practice, mantras are vibrations that reprogram the mind and heart. Try repeating, I am open to abundance. I welcome harmony into my finances. Or chant Om Vasudhara Svaha, the sacred mantra of Vasudhara, the bodhisattva of prosperity and generosity. The goal isn't magic, it's mindset. Affirm daily what you wish to become, and your actions will begin to follow. In combining these 6 principles, intention, generosity, mindfulness, clarity, environment, and affirmation, you begin not just attracting wealth, you begin embodying it. Next, we'll conclude this journey with a reflection on what it truly means to live abundantly from the inside out. So here we are, after exploring the sacred numbers, the timeless teachings, and the 6 inner principles. It's clear that true abundance isn't something you chase, it's something you align with. You've seen how number 7 invites inner stillness, how 11 ignites your intuition, how 4 lays your foundation, how 3 sets your creativity free, how 26 helps you harmonize your life's chapters, and how 35 teaches you to adapt with grace. You've also been reminded that wealth is more than digits. It's a mindset, a rhythm, a conscious way of living. So ask yourself now, what would happen if you stopped waiting for luck and started living in alignment? The truth is, you don't have to be perfect. You don't need to predict the future. You only need to begin with intention, with presence, with courage. Because when your heart is clear and your mind is still wealth, the real kind flows in, naturally. Let's keep the energy going. Like this video, if something resonated, subscribe so you never miss the wisdom we share each week, and comment below. I walk the path of conscious abundance. That one sentence can be your first step or your next one. Until next time, may your days be rooted in peace and your life overflow with purpose.